a Met police officer shot dead by a handcuffed suspect, had moved into custody work because he thought it was safer as he approached retirement, a friend said. Tributes have poured in for Sergeant Matthew Ratana, who died after a 23-year-old gunman opened fire at Croydon Custody Centre in South London in the early hours of Friday. Investigations are looking into how the suspect, who had been detained for possession of ammunition and possession of Class B drugs, was able to access the deadly weapon. Neil Donoghue said Sergeant Ratana, known as Matt to family and friends, thought working in the custody suite was his safest option as he neared the end of his lengthy police career. Mr. Donoghue told BBC Breakfast he thought it was his safest option, just to see him through to his retirement, and no one expected this to happen, certainly not within the police cells. He described the officer as the most nicest, generous man you could meet, and said he was just a really genuinely nice guy. Sergeant Ratana, 54, was originally from New Zealand and joined the force in 1991. Met Commissioner Dame Cressida Dick, who, with the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, led police officers across the capital in a minute's silence on Friday, described Sergeant Ratana as a talented police officer. He was big in stature, big in heart, friendly, capable, a lovely man and highly respected by his colleagues, and leaves behind a partner and adult son, Dame Cressida said. His partner's sister told their son he was aware of the dangers of being a police officer, but saw it as all part of the job. Describing the news of his death as devastating, she told the newspaper he was dedicated to being a police officer and had almost 30 years of service. He knew the dangers of working in London, but for him, it was all part of the job. Sergeant Ratana's cousin Adrian Rora, a politician in New Zealand, said his relative was a natural-born leader. He told Staff News website, "We're all devastated that we've lost our cousin, but also to hear about the way he has been killed. He was awesome, very outgoing and a natural-born leader. Some people have to learn how to be a leader, but it just came naturally to him." A police officer lays flowers outside Croydon Custody Centre, Erin Chelm/Par. Right parenthesis. The suspect also shot himself during the incident at about 2:15 a.m. on Friday and is in a critical but stable condition in hospital. No police firearms were fired, and the case is not being treated as terror-related. He was not regarded a subject of interest by security services, the Par news agency understands, but reports suggest he may have previously been referred to the Anti-Extremism Prevent program. A murder probe has been launched, and investigators from the Independent Office for Police Conduct, IOPC, watchdog attended the scene. The IOPC have obtained CCTV from the custody centre as well as body-worn video footage from the officers present. These will now be reviewed in the coming days, and initial accounts from the officers present will also be taken. The suspect was arrested by regular officers following a stop and search, then handcuffed behind his back before being taken to the station in a police vehicle. The IOPC said he was taken into the building and sat in a holding area in the custody suite, then opened fire while still in handcuffs as officers prepared to search him with a metal detector. IOPC Regional Director Sal Nassim said, It is at that point that shots were fired, resulting in the fatal injuries to the officer and critical injuries to the man. A non-police issue firearm, which appears to be a revolver, has been recovered from the scene. Further ballistic work will be required. Leroy Logan, a former Met superintendent, said there were questions to be answered around the circumstances which led to the shooting. How did that person come to be in the station, whether it's in the yard or the building itself, and be able to produce a weapon, whether it's on them at the time, he told BBC News. Meanwhile, Andy Trotter, former Deputy Assistant Commissioner of the Met and also a former Chief Constable of British Transport Police, said increasing sentence lengths was not enough to prevent crime against emergency workers. He told Times Radio, "We are increasingly becoming a very difficult society to police. We need to look right across the board on this, and just saying we're going to put the sentences up will not solve that. It's got to be about prevention and detection, and much more than just that." Sergeant Ratana is the 8th police officer in the UK to be shot dead in the last 20 years and the first to be murdered by a firearm in the line of duty since PCS Fiona Bone, 32, and Nicola Hughes, 23, were murdered by Dale Cregan in September 2012. The Met Sergeant is the 17th from the force to be killed by a firearm since the end of the Second World War, according to the National Police Memorial Roll of Honour.